Happy Wednesday. Warming up here in Chicago. It's putting me in a good mood.
Love to hear it. I love to hear it. Yeah, I'm down here in Dallas, man. It's been hot for like the last 2 months.
It's like January it warmed up. Come on, come on. Well, hey, we're here to talk about one of our favorite topics. And there's the topic and then there's the topic behind the topic. And it's when therapy practice owners treat their business and especially their marketing, they treat their therapy practice more like a business, their results get better. And that's just what we've seen from our experience. And so the true nature of this topic actually is how do we sustainably grow our therapy practice by getting more leads? And we're going to talk a little bit about leads and about marketing and sales and some best business practices that are pulled from multiple industries, multiple frameworks, multiple philosophies here that, if we use them inside of a therapy practice, it creates a really potent opportunity for sustainable, straightforward growth.
Yeah, a lot of this comes down to a conversation that we were having earlier today in one of our coaching calls, and that's really how can I get better leads, right?
Yeah.
If leads are just people who are filling out a form, how can I get a better lead or people that I don't have to talk to or like convince? I always feel like this convincing thing when it comes to sales, and ultimately the reason why this sustainability function happens for your practice is you have more people that you can talk to regularly. So more people that you can talk to regularly at low to no cost. And when we kind of balance out the marketing and sales equation as we have equal weight put on the marketing and equal weight put on sales, you actually end up getting better results at the end of the day because you don't have to be pushy. You just work with people when it's time for them to work with you. And you get to focus on more of the hard hitting things, which is building your trust with that client. And so, Josh, when it comes to this philosophy of like a 1-to-1 lead, like lead to sale ratio or like volume of leads, what's kind of your idea behind all this?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a good analogy, and I, for good or for bad, just went through the buying process of a refrigerator. Okay, and if you have this idea that there's only one perfect refrigerator out there for you, or really any product that you're buying, you're going to consternate over a process and a decision that's just going to be so duplicitous and whatever, and it's just going to be really hard. Eventually, you'll settle on a single option, right? And this is a buying decision in general. Someone who's seeking therapy will eventually settle on a single option, maybe you, if slash when they're ready to move forward. But as a potential user or consumer, the amount of opt-ins I did, the amount of research, the 50 different websites I visited, the 3 stores I went to, the 6 fridges I went through, a little bit more of a complex process to buy an object than choose a therapist, potentially might not. But anyways, it breaks down. But all I'm trying to say is on the receiving end of that, right? If every single one of those websites, those store clerks, those conversations, those research websites, whatever, viewed me as, oh my gosh, this is one person, and if they don't sign up, right, this all goes to crap, right? And it's like, I need to sell one refrigerator this month or 20 refrigerators. That means I just need 20 people. Not true. You probably need like 2,000 people to go through that process for 20 of them to settle on your refrigerator, even though they're all in the market for a refrigerator. And when we apply that concept, that gets applied in e-commerce, gets applied to tire shops, get applied to grocery stores, right? To the therapy practice, we understand that the need to talk to way more people and the acceptance that way more people are just not going to move forward actually increases the likelihood that our practice will be sustainable, growing, and consistent.
Yeah, I think the like acceptance of this is the hardest
Yeah.
part, and the reason I see why the acceptance of this is so difficult is you don't want to spend your time doing sales activities. You're either in this for clinical or maybe sales is uncomfortable or like having to pick up the phone and it not be a good fit feels like it's a waste of time sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's kind of part of the process. It's part of the process. And the more that we can make this a relationship building opportunity, the more that we can make this an opportunity for you to be professional and sort of like provide resources, the higher likelihood that you create an actual impact inside of the community. You're creating brand, you're creating an experience that people can actually refer to you later on. People won't forget if you're a professional. They will not forget that. And so when we kind of pull this back a little bit more people should shop. More people should shop and shop on you than how many are signing up. Kind of the golden ratio that we start with is 10 people should opt in or try to call you before you get one sale. It's kind of this golden ratio that we stick to. Can it be better than that? Absolutely, it should be better than that. However, you
That's it.
start there. It's a conservative estimate, we'll call it. It's a conservative estimate. If 10 people call you, one of them is probably a good fit for you.
And for some of you who need 10, 20, 30 clients per clinician on your team, even potentially, you're like, man, I got 20 calls total last month. Like, how on earth am I supposed to build a practice? Like, I would need 100 people to reach out to me just to get 10 new clients? Maybe,
It's more realistic to think of it that way than to think of it as I need 10 people to reach out to become clients.
or 11 or 12. You know, let's
Yeah.
let's put a little wiggle room in there. 11 or 12.
It's more realistic to think that way. And so when we align our marketing around that, what ends up happening is we focus on who has problems that we can fix. Are they getting in touch with us? So are these people, do they have problems that we can fix? Do they have problems that we potentially could fix using the solutions, using our services, right? And then as they come in, if we're focusing on a higher volume of leads, we get a bonus benefit. We get a bonus benefit, and it's that we are building a list for our practice. Josh, I don't know if you want to touch on the efficiency of lists
Yeah.
or what we do for some of that stuff, but
To go back to the purchasing analogy, uh, the amount of emails that I have now gotten as I've researched, opted into things, X, Y, and Z has also been a lot in a good way. And it has brought me closer to an end goal of what and who I'm going to work with and what's going to happen. I also shared the same example with a therapist who was joining our program, and he asked, "Well, what's the difference between marketing and sales?" Right? Like, how are the? I've always just kind of put those together. Well, marketing is what starts the conversation, and there's better and deeper ways to start a conversation, right? But sales is what converts the conversation. Marketing would be a Facebook ad that you saw. Sales and a version of it could be on a physical sales call, doing the consult on a Zoom video call, and the content that's said in there to get you over the finish line. And frankly, if we're playing a game where it's three strikes, you're out, that's a lot more difficult than playing a game where you're, at the batting range, just getting fed tee up after tee up, which is more what we're arguing for almost, that's going to build a better business for you by just giving you a lot more opportunities from your marketing to try and close in your sales. And that didn't answer the list question, but it was all a roundabout way to kind of get to that list segment. Working your list gives you more opportunity to continue the sales process on a longer period of time because not everyone's going to be ready. They might not have the cash right this second, but their circumstances change. They might be about to go on vacation. They might stay on your list thinking they want the service, but they run into their mom, their sister, their brother who can afford the service or do want the service now. They might wanted it for themselves, but 3 months from now their kid needs it, and then they're going to come back to you. The timing could be wrong, or they just might not trust you enough. And that's one of the biggest things is they just don't trust that you're going to get the results. So spending more time with content you send them through ads, through email follow-up, through re-offers, through other things that we talk about in some of our videos will warm them up, help them trust you more, and reveal your value so they'll come back and sign up, even if it's not the first time around.
Yeah. I the way that I kind of look at it is if you're looking for one perfect lead, one perfect like needle in a haystack, what ends up happening is you miss them every time because timing is usually like the biggest issue for our perfect people. Is it the
Yep.
right time to engage? Are they working with another therapist? Are they doing something else? Like there's so many things that come up when you're looking for one-to-one perfect person coming in and making a phone call and they close as a new client. And so why not open up the situation? Why not be open to collecting more people's information who possibly have a problem you could solve?
Yep.
You get to kind of recycle. Plus, you build, I call it like building a boat so big that it can't sink.
Yeah.
When your list is 100 people big and you send an email out to your list or a text message out to your list, maybe you get one or two people who are interested. Maybe you get a new client. If your list is 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people big, every time you send an email or a text message, you're getting new clients.
Yep. And we can attest to that. We've worked on small lists, and once our lists have gotten big enough, it converts every single time you work the list. So don't underestimate the power of that. So I think there's two elements here. You just need to generate a lot more leads so that way you have more sales conversations. But then also by generating all of those leads, you get to have sales conversations in different new ways with your list through email engagement, through social engagement potentially, through your blogs, through content, through resources, and a lot of other ways. Let's go back to that first bucket and just say, what do I even do to generate 100 calls a month to get 10 clients if like that's really where I'm starting.
Yeah, this is the secret formula. Who are you serving? Where are they at? What's the result you're getting them? And what's the bait that you're using to attract them? So if we're looking at this like a fishing equation, we're looking for a specific fish in the water. This fish has anxiety and depression. Okay. Are we in the right pool? Do the fish who have anxiety and depression, are they swimming in this pond? Great. Once we've identified that, what's the bait? What's the offer that we can say or do to just glint just nicely enough in the water that they actually will reach out and try to grab it? And then finally, what's the result that we're actually producing for them? Is that result worth their money? For therapy, 9 times out of 10, this is one of the biggest reasons why we love working with therapists. Most people say that the result from therapy is like priceless, right? So if the result is priceless, the value to price equation is always in your favor. The value to price equation is always in your favor. And so you look at the secret formula here. Call it the secret formula. Look at the secret formula. Put all of these elements in place. Who am I serving? Where are they at? What's the bait I'm using? And then what's the result I'm going to get? And then from that, just put that information out for the universe to see. Run an ad for it. It's one of the best ways that we do it. Go to directories, right? That's where people who are shopping for psych services go. They go to directories. They
Yep.
see ads. They're searching on Google. You can't really
Send
go
a
wrong.
send a 5,000 piece mailer through your local, uh, US mail office. Like there are lots of ways to do it that we also can talk about in some other videos.
Yeah. So do that. And the big objective here, guys, for your marketing activities, like Josh said, is to start a conversation, to get the opt-in. That's one engine. The next engine is sales. The next engine is sales.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at an airplane, you can't have a small engine for sales and a massive engine for marketing. Otherwise, you go in circles. It's good to have a regular size engine and a regular size engine so that way you're moving forward.
Yeah.
And so balance out some of the weight for marketing and sales. Josh, what do you got for it?
And as one last comment on the marketing front, I think a lot of therapists are scared to invest more in their marketing because they don't know that it will work. And in the same way, just as you should be generating more conversations than you probably think you need to be generating, you should probably be, unfortunately, spending more time on the marketing and sales piece of your business than you think you should be spending, because that's what feeds the rest of the business. And I think of a trade-off example of saying most therapists, especially solo practices, let's say, but even many groups, would be pretty uncomfortable at spending, let's say, $2,000 a month on Facebook ads. It's a chunk of change to spend on Facebook ads. However, in our experience, after we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of counselors who have run ads and ad campaigns, that buys you a substantial amount of inquiries. We're talking potentially hundreds of inquiries for $2,000 on a monthly basis. Okay, well, that's $24,000 in a year. Also, not a small amount of money. But if that feeds your practice, that you charge anywhere from $150 to $200 a session, which it certainly can easily feed a practice that does that, will you trade $24,000 to make between
500,000.
$200,000 annually? The answer is yes. Now, we recognize there's probably a little bit of risk, a little bit of ramp up in that process, but that's where our mindset is coming out of. Like, if we treat the business like a business, what does the business need? It needs a lot of inquiries, then it needs a lot of sales, and then we can fulfill the product. How do we buy those conversations? And you go do it, and you see the success that you want.
I want, don't be the business owner that's afraid of sales, tries to have their marketing do everything for them, and then wonders why they don't have a business. Okay. There's a lever here. There's a lever here. Get more conversations than you need, have more conversations than you think you need to have, and then finally you'll develop this business that you actually want.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I have anything to add on that. It's just you if you're afraid of marketing or if you're afraid of sales and you aren't willing to do it and you don't have anyone else that's willing to do it in your business, the business won't perform because those are two incredibly necessary components to the business.
Yeah. That's all I've got, Josh. We'll let them roll.